Hi guys, it's Roy from Belados 3D here with another Blender tutorial, and in this tutorial I will be creating the low poly treasure chest that you can see rotating on the screen. Okay, first things first, let's get rid of this by turning off the animation, resetting the timeline. I'm going to hide the turntable and I'm going to hide the example, and I'm going to switch over to UV editing mode and make sure that I am in viewport shading. Okay, the reason I'm in UV editing mode is so that I can add colours as I'm working. It's much easier that way. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to create a cube using Shift A and selecting cube, and in edit mode press GZ and 1 to bring it above the centre of the screen. I've got that in proportional editing for some reason, so I'm going to turn that off with the O key. Okay, and now I want to size this to the correct shape, so I'm going to press S, X and 2, and then I'm going to S, Y and scale it out a little bit so it's about the right shape for a treasure chest. Now I need to switch to edge mode by pressing the 2 key or pressing the little button up here and select this edge here. I can then press Shift and S and select cursor to selected. And if I go back into object mode, you'll see that the cursor is now right on this corner. Before I do anything else, I'm going to just add my color palette to this object and go back into it and press U to get the UV mapping menu and reset to reset the UV so they're all stacked on top of each other. And if I hover over them, I can press A, then press S, 0 and enter. And they're all in this tiny little dot here, so I can then move that to the right color, and I'll move it onto that sort of reddy brown just there, and back into object mode. As you can see now, the cursor is on the edge of the box there, so I need to press Shift A, mesh and cube to bring a cube in, and I will again do the same thing. I'll give it the palette material. I will go in, press U, R, and then hovering over the UVs, A, S, 0, enter, and I'm going to move that again over to the same color. There we go, and there we have it. So now in edit mode, as you can see, I will scale this with the S key and scale it right down to about the right sort of size for the post. There we go. And in front view, it's S, Z, and scale it up so that it's just over the edge at the bottom and the top. Maybe a little bit less. There we go. Right. And that looks about right. Now if I press Ctrl R while hovering over the mesh and then scroll it up once, I can add 2 mesh loops, edge loops. I can scale them in, excluding the Z-axis by pressing Shift and Z, and just bring them in so that it gives them a nice little curve. Right. Back into object mode, I want to right click and shade smooth, and obviously that looks horrible like that, so I will then go down to this little button here, which is the object data properties, and down to the normals and click the auto smooth button there, and that gives it a nice smooth shading. Right, and now I want a bevel on this, so I'm going to go to the modifier tab, click add modifier and select bevel when that's a bit too much. So what I want to do is I want to bring it right the way down, and I think 0.1 should be about right, maybe 0.2. Yeah, 0.2 will be fine by the looks of that. And again, I want to limit, change the limit method to angle, just so that it doesn't bevel any of these horizontal edges here. Okay, so that gives us one corner. Now we want this corner to be mirrored onto each of these corners. So I'm going to close this down, and I'm going to add a modifier. And where's the modifier? Actually, before I do that, I'm going to press Control A over the bevel modifier and apply the modifier, because I don't need to change it anymore. So I need to then click on add modifier, mirror. And now obviously that doesn't seem to have done anything, and the reason for that is the origin point's in the center of the model, so it's using the origin point to mirror across itself. So I need to get it to mirror in the center point of this object. So I simply go to the pipette here and then select this object here, and as you can see it's mirrored across on the x-axis. And if I tick the y box, that will then give me a nice little mirror across the y-axis. Okay, one more thing to do. We go back into edit mode on that, and what I want to do is select all of it and press G to move it, and I just want to move it so that it's only overlapping by a small amount. That should be about right just there. Okay, back into object mode. Now we're going to go into the first cube that we created. Into edit mode, I'm going to select the top face with face select number 3 on the keyboard. And in front view, press G and Z, and I'm going to bring that down, and I'll bring that down to about there, I think. And that will give us a nice little base. So with the top selected, I'll now shift select the bottom. I'm going to press in top orthographic mode by pressing 7 on the number pad. I'm going to press I, and I'm going to inset them faces there and bring it down to about there. So now as you see, we've got a little board all the way round on both sides. And now what I want to do is press Control and E and then hit bridge edge loops, and as you can see that deletes them 2 faces, but it then links these edges with faces to create a nice little edge piece. Okay, back into edit mode there, select everything, back into front orthographic. I'm going to duplicate this again and bring that up, and that's going to go up to about there. So it's just over the top of the pillars there. And I'm going to duplicate it once more, and this time I'm going to press P and selection, and that's going to break that out into its own little object, which I'm going to just move up out of the way for now and hide, because I will need that later for the lid. Right, now we need to fill in the side panels and the base. So what I will do with this, again, I'm going to press Shift C to reset the cursor to the center, and I'm going to press Shift A and select cube. Again, I'm going to add the color palette to that cube, go into edit mode, select everything, U and R, then A, S and 0 to scale that down. I'm going to choose another brown, and I think I'll choose this one just up here. If I go back into object mode to see that properly, yeah, I think that looks about right. So what I want to do with this in edit mode, I want to scale on the x-axis, and I just want to have that so it's tucked into the pillars at the sides there. Okay, and then I want to S on the z-axis and bring it right down, and press GZ to bring it up. Right. Now if I go into top orthographic, I then want to press G and Y. I want to bring that sort of roughly central there, so I can S, Y and scale it down. Now I might want to go into wireframe by pressing Shift Z and move that up a little bit more there, and SY to bring it in, SY to bring it in, and that looks about right. So now we have, if we go back into solid view, we have one of our planks, and in front view I will Shift D and GZ to move it up, and I want it just above, so there's a slight gap, and then again Shift D, GZ, bring it down so there's a slight gap there, and then I can select everything, just move it up a little bit so it's central, and I'm going to put it into wireframe mode just so I can see what I'm doing. Press S and Z, and I can bring that up. Just bring that down with the GZ so it's down there, so it's inside those lips. If I go back to solid view and object mode, you you can see it's now got its planks on that side. Now I want to duplicate the whole thing again. RZ90 and top view in wireframe, GX, bring it across, GY and bring it in central, so we can then SY and bring that right down. Maybe want to bring it back up a bit there, SY, bring it right down as far as it will go. Back into solid mode. We have our planks on the side. Now we just need to duplicate these with Shift D and move them across just over there like so. And again, if I box select all of these, that should do it. 7, Shift D and GY and bring that all the way across there. So we now have the base of the box. All we need now is the actual floor piece, the bottom of the box. So again, we will Shift duplicate, and this time we will rotate by pressing R, X 90 degrees, and from the top view we'll press GY and bring that down. Obviously, as you can see, it's not wide enough, so I'm going into wireframe so I can see what I'm doing, and press S and Y, and I'm going to bring it all the way up there. I can bring it back down this way a little bit. There we go. And there we have it. That is the base of our box right there. I just need to do one more thing there on that. In wireframe mode, GZ, bring that down so that it's central to that. And we have our base. Now what I want to do is I want to go through it, and I want to, with all the planks, I want to select all the planks. Right. And press Control and B to bevel, and just bring that out slightly so we've got a little bit of a bevel on them like that. And then back into object mode, right click, shade smooth, right click shade smooth, and make sure auto smooth is applied. And there we go. And again, the same with this piece. This will be slightly different. We don't want this lot beveled, so if we select everything and then in edge mode, Shift Alt and click this edge there, 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 and I'm gonna have to press C to go into that, there, 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 and there. Shift C to go back into there, and Control B, and just bring that down slightly. And there we go, and that should now have a nice little bevel on the edge. We'll shade that smooth and apply our smoothing groups, our normal smoothing. And there we have it. That is the base of thing. I'm just going to check to make sure I've got no modifiers on there. I think I've got a modifier on that one. I'm going to apply that modifier on there, and then I'm going to select, select, and Control J to join them so they're all one mesh. And that's our base. So next we are going to start on the lid. The piece that we created earlier on, I now unhide that. I'm going to do the same as I did with the edges here. I'm going to bevel this. So if I select all the way around there, all the way around there, all the way around there, I select this one, this one, this one, this one, and then if I can see it, all the way around there, I can then press Control B and just bring it out slightly, just like that. Okay, back into object mode, shade smooth, again back into object data, normals, auto smooth to give it the smooth shading. And that's the lid of our the base of the lid, the rim for the lid on our chest. Now what I want to do is, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just bring that down slightly. I'm going to put that flush with the edge of that, And then what I think I might want to do is, just so that it has a little bit of a lip, I'm going to go back into edit mode, select everything. I'm going to press S and press Shift S to exclude the Z axis, and still holding the shift down, just bring it out just a touch, and it just gives it a little bit of a lip over the edge there, as you can see. Right. Now I'm going to go back into the base because I'm going to steal some geometry from this base. And what I will do is edit mode in the base, face mode with number 3 key, and select L to select this whole piece here, and L to select all this piece here. I'm going to shift D to duplicate it, press P and selection. So I've now got a separate object. I'll go back into edit mode and select that object, G, Z, and bring it up. And what I want to do is, from the side view, I just want to bring it up so it's just overlapping. Just about overlapping that. Right. Okay. And now I can actually join that to that piece there, because there's no modifiers, no extra modifiers needed on that. Now I need to make the curve over the top, and I'm going to use a little trick on this. Just make sure I'm on the right side. Again, I'm going to be stealing geometry from the box piece here, and the geometry I'm going to steal is this face here. I'm going to Shift D, and I'm going to scale it out slightly, just so it's roughly the same size as the outer edge there, just like that. And then I'm going to press P, separate it by selection so it's a separate object, and then go into edit mode on that. And now what I can do is I can select it and I can press E and extrude, and I'm going to extrude it up to about there. Right, I'm now going to press Y, and what that does is it separates it from the actual mesh. And I'm going to press RX90 to bring it round to there, and I'm going to move it to just before, so that it's just above the this piece here, and just before the blue line. And now if I go into edge mode with number 2, and I Shift Alt and click these edges here, I can press Control E, bridge edge loops. And that, actually, I'm going to go back a step on that, because what I will probably want to do is I want to select this edge here and press G and Z and bring it just up like so. And if I select this edge loop, select this edge all the way around, Control E, and bridge edge loops. Now what I can do is come down to this menu here, and I can add a number of cuts in it by pressing this button here. And I'm going to add 2 cuts into that to give it a bit more defined shape, and as you can see it's now rounded off. So what I want to do is go back into edit mode. I'm going to add a mirror modifier now. Now I want a mirror modifier, and I want that on the x-axis and the y-axis. And because this has got the same origin point as the center there, it's all nice and neat in the axis there. So I just want to go into face mode, select this face, G, Y. Oh, and we need clipping on. Don't forget the clipping. There we go, G, Y, and there. And if I look, it's a little bit low, so we go like so. I'm going to delete that face, X and F, and then we have our edges for the edge pieces for the lid. So let's apply this mirror, and now what we want a bevel. I'm going to add the bevel onto that. I'm going to bring it right down to 0.02, and again set the limit method to angle, right click and shade smooth, and then make sure auto smooth is on, which is correct because of the previous mesh. And there we have that part of our lid there. So now we need to bridge these edges, and I'm going to steal some pieces from here. What I need is these 3 pieces here. Shift D to duplicate, P and selection to separate them, and back into object mode. Select that one, and let's bring it right the way up to about here, and that should give us that low, just about there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going into edit mode. I'm going to select this one. I'm going to delete this because I don't need that side, but I do need this one here. And if I go into right orthographic view, press Shift Z, I can rotate on the X axis and bring that round about the same sort of thing as that, and press G and Z and bring that down. Maybe bring it back a little bit on the Y. And if I, looking at that now, I'm going to go to the scale thing there to give me the scale tool. Now obviously that scale's in the wrong way, so I'm going to switch over to normal or local. Normal is the closest. I'm just going to scale that in a little bit and then move that. Let's try the local again. No. And then put it back on that, and then move that to about there. Yeah, that looks about right. And then what I want to do is I want to duplicate that, and I want to move that to over here and rotate it so it's around the same sort of angle as that piece, and bring that in just there. And one final piece, I'm going to rotate that so that it's roughly vertical, and move that down to just there. And now I'm going to select just these pieces here, and I'm going to do G and Z to bring it up to there. So now if I press Shift Z, we have one side of our chest created there. And then if we go back into that, I can then put an edge loop along the center of here, and with wireframe on, select that half of it, press X and F to delete the faces back into solid mode, and it would appear that I need to add another edge loop there as well, and do it again. X and F. Excellent. I can then go into the modifiers tab and add a mirror modifier, but on the Y axis with clipping enabled. And there we go. And we will apply that modifier on there. It looks like we need a bit more beveling on this, I think. So let's go into that. We'll add a bevel modifier. And it won't, and it's not beveling. Let's have a look. That's it. Nope. Let's get rid of that. That doesn't seem to. Let's go into this and 3 plus, and that's plus Control plus on the keypad there, and S and Y to bring it back there, and Control plus on that. Let's put this on normal and see how that looks. That's good. S and X. So it's on that normal, we'll bring that up like so. And we'll do the same on there, Control plus, SX, bring that up, Control plus, SX, bring that up, oops, to there. And it closes them off a little bit, gives it a bit more, and then what I will do is SX, just the top ones, SX, just to bring that bevel out a little bit more. And there we go. There is the lid of our chest. Okay, next we're going to add our lock and clasp onto the chest there. So what I want to do is I'm going to go into this piece. I'm going to select that face there. I'm going to make sure I go back into global now and switch back to my selection tool and press Shift and S, cursor to selected. So I now want to bring in a cube. And again, as usual, add the material to it. U and R to UV. U and R to reset the UVs. A, S and 0 to bring it down. Now this colour I want to bring right down here, and we'll have it like a bronzy sort of brassy sort of colour. I think that looks about right. So let's go into edit mode and scale that right down because I want it to be about there. GZ. So it's just above the lip there, just about there. And then SY to bring it in to about there. And GY back a little bit. There we go, we want it just inside there, so there we go. And I think it needs to come down just a little bit more, because what I want to do is we want to add a little loop to this so that we can put for a padlock. So what I will need to do is add 2 loops and then Control B and pull them out, and then 1 loop, Control B and pull that out. And then if I select these loops, G, Z, and bring them to about there, I can go into face mode. I can select this one or this one, and I think they might need to be a bit bigger, so I'm gonna edge mode, select that one and that one, S, Z, bring them out a bit there. So back into face mode, select these 2, and we will just extrude them out just a touch, like so. And in edge mode, I will select the top edge and the far bottom edge, and G, Y, and bring them out just a tad there. And then back into face mode, select those 2 again, Control E, bridge edge loop, Control E, bridge edge loops, and then add number of cuts. 1, 2, 3, 4 should be enough on that. And then we have our little padlock loop. So again, we're going to add the shade smooth, go into the object data, turn on auto smooth, and maybe bring that up to 50. There we go. Give it a nice smooth side there, and then I want to give it a bevel as well, so let's give it a bevel. Oh, and that's gone a little bit far. We will change the limit method to angle, and we will bring that bevel right down, all the way down, and even there it's not enough. So if I put 0.002, there we go, that's about right. Maybe change that to 0.005. Yeah, that looks nice. And there we have our padlock loop, and I'm just looking at it. I'm going to bring the front of it back a little bit, so Alt Z, side view, and just select all the front pieces there, and GY to bring it back just about there. And that looks about right. Press Alt Z to come out of X-ray mode again, and then I want to do the same thing again. I'm going to apply that because we don't need to change any of it. I'm going to do the same thing again, but this time what I'm going to do is go into edit. I'm going to steal the top off of this piece here, so Shift D to duplicate, scale it out again to counter the bevel, so it's about the same. There we go. P selection, okay, and then select that piece, back into edit mode, select it, and we will press E and go all the way up, and we'll take it to about there. Now I don't think we need these lines in there at the moment. I want to select the bottom face, G, Z, and bring that out there. Now this piece I do want to be out proud, like so. Out and proud, like so. Because what I want to do is I want to take the bottom face, I want to extrude it with the E button down to about there, and then extrude it with the E button again down to about there. And now what I will do, just to make this easier, I'm going to hide this piece and then go back into this piece. Oh, back into this piece, because I want to select these back pieces here, and GY, bring them forward to about there, and this piece bring that forward like so. Okay, and now let's give this a little bit of shape. I'm going to scale that on the X axis, so it's around there, and I'm going to put in 2 edge loops there, 2 edge loops there, move that up to there, and GZ, move that down to there, because I can now then hit face on that, and if I can find it, that face there, press Ctrl E and bridge edge loops. And then in edge mode I can take this edge and this edge and SX, scale it on the X. I can add 2 loops to this, and S and X on there to give it a bit more of a defined shape. And there we have our latch. So let's shade smooth, as usual, shade smooth, make sure auto smooth is on, and then let's give it a bevel, and we'll slot that to 0.005, no, 0.1, 0.01, and then change the limit method to angle. .005, and that looks about right, I think. Okay, now if we bring back the cube here, I think we've got everything. We're just gonna Control A on that. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is, right, I see. I'm going to get rid of that bevel because it seems to have beveled everything except what I wanted to bevel. So let's, in edge select mode, alt select this one, alt select this one, and this one, and this one. Alt select, alt select, alt select, Alt select. Let's quickly see, bring that down. Right, and we alt select all the way around the edges. Try and get all the edges that we need to bevel, and we're going to that mode there. There we go. Oops. And if we press Control and B, we can bevel that out like so. That's better. That's much better. Right, let's bring back the... Well, actually, first things first, let's join these pieces together. So we now have the lid. And if we bring back the cube, we now have our treasure chest. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the lid and I'm going to select with edge select this bottom edge just here. And I'm going to press Control, Shift and S to set the cursor to the object, and then in object mode set the origin to the 3D cursor. And the reason for that is I can now go RX minus 55 and it rotates as if it's on a hinge. So RX, it rotates as if it's on a hinge. Okay, I'm going to press Alt R to bring that back, and I'm going to hide that because now I want to fill it with treasure. And this is going to be a simple, easy piece. Press Shift C to bring the cursor back into the center, and we'll go into top orthographic view and press Shift A and create a plane. Again, I'm going to straight away put the palette on that, go into edit mode, select everything U, R, and then over the UVs A, S, 0 to bring it right down. I'm going to bring it down to the gold color just here, and if I press G and Z and bring it up, there we go, we have a nice gold plane. If we bring it up to say about here, and if I put it into wireframe, what I'm going to do is just scale it up a little bit so it's overlapping those edges just a little bit, and SX so it's overlapping those edges a little bit just so that it fills up the middle of this. And what I want to do is I want to add 2 edges there, 1 edge there, select everything, press Control and E and subdivide, and I'll just subdivide it 4 times. Okay, and if I go to vertex select mode by pressing 1 and select a random vertex, then I'll go up to the proportional editing tool and I change the drop down to random and then turn proportional editing on. If I press GZ right now, it will move up, and as I scroll out it will affect randomly around that point. So just move a few of the points up just a little bit, just to give it a little bit of randomness inside, and that's it. That is finished. Let's open the lid, RX minus 55, and let's bring back my turntable. And what I want to do is I want to fit that onto the turntable, so I'm going to switch this to transform pivot point to 3D cursor. I'm going to select all 3 pieces of my model, in front view. I'm going to scale them down so it fits onto my little turntable there, like so. And there we go. And now, that's what I forgot. Let's go back. There we go. I forgot to add that to that by pressing Control J. There we go, and that's now attached. So if we select the lid, the gold, and the box, we can now scale them all down to fit on the turntable like so. If I go back into layout mode and press the space bar, there we have it. One treasure chest, low poly style treasure chest. I hope you found this informative. I hope you enjoyed what I've been doing. And if you'd like to see more content, as usual, hit the like and the subscribe button. And I hope to see you in my next video. Thank you for joining me.